were treated unfairly and that their rights to trade and earn a living had been violated. But Judge Brad Wanless has ruled that the Metro is required to enforce bylaws while verifying all informal traders in Johannesburg.
The first respondent, the City of Johannesburg, is to conduct an expedited verification, registration, re-registration and allocation process. The process as contemplated by the informal trading bylaws. The process shall commence on the 4th of November 2025 and shall be completed by no later than the 18th of November 2025.
The daughter of former President Jacob Zuma will stand trial from next week for her alleged involvement in the 2021 July unrest. Duduzile Zuma Sambodla is charged with incitement to commit terrorism and incitement to commit public violence. The charges are linked to the unrest, which led to widespread looting and left public infrastructure in KZN and parts of Gauteng damaged. The state alleges that Zuma Sambodla used social media platforms to spur on the looting by sharing some of the incidents caught on video with the caption, "We see you." The NPA and KZN has confirmed that trial is set down for 2 weeks from the 10th to the 21st of November in the Durban High Court. To this now, the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry has heard that Hawks officers in the Tactical Operations Management section were diverted from an assignment in the Northwest to go to the Sandton home of Katiso KT Molefe. Warrant Officer Sabelo Nkosi has testified that he received an instruction to go to a Sandton address where people were allegedly posing as legitimate police officers. The commission, established to look into alleged corruption in the justice sector, is today focusing on Molefe's arrest and the suspected interference by Hawks members. Tabiso Koba reports.
On the 6th of December last year, Sabelo Nkosi says he was preparing to head to an important operation in the Northwest. However, before he could leave, he received a call from his superior, Brigadier Lesiba Mukwena, saying he's being diverted to an urgent assignment in Sandton to verify whether there was a legitimate police operation taking place there. Nkosi says this left him frustrated, as this was a quote, insignificant verification.
To me, that area where the address is, we do have local police station there. And then if it was such an agency, because compared to me driving, because when I opened the GPS to that particular address, it was 60-something kilometers. I don't think that there is an area or a suburb where the police station that is more than 20 kilometers away.
Nkosi says when he got to Katiso KT Molefe's house, he found it was a legitimate police operation where the controversial businessman was being arrested in connection with the murder of Val engineer Armand Swart. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
In KZN, 2 wanted suspects have been shot and killed by police in Umlazi, south of Durban. According to officers, the men opened fire at police who were carrying out an operation to apprehend them. When police returned fire, the 2 were shot and killed. KZN police spokesperson Robert Nechiwunda says the men were wanted in connection with various violent crimes committed in the Inanda area.
2 firearms were found in their possession. The recovered firearms will be taken to ballistic testing to ascertain if they are linked to any other crimes in the province.
And in the UK, a 32-year-old man has been charged with 10 counts of attempted murder following a knife attack on a train. On Saturday, police received reports of a knife-wielding man on a train. They then arrested Anthony Williams within 8 minutes of the first emergency call. One rail staff member who tried to stop the attacker is currently in a critical condition, and 11 others were treated in hospital. Police say they are not treating the incident as terror-related. Gold is trading at $4,019.68 an ounce. The rand is at 17.30 to the dollar, 22.69 to the pound, 19.91 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $64.77 a barrel.
Well, at this stage in Rudaport, heading towards Soweto, there's an accident scene N1 South near 14th Avenue, causing about an hour delay all the way from Bayers Nordea. Avoid that route at all costs. There's also faulty traffic lights in Edenville, Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeck, as well as in Linksfield, traffic lights not working at Linksfield Road and the N3.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with isolated showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 21 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the Gauteng High Court has ordered the city of Johannesburg to accelerate the process of verifying and registering informal traders.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja
Live, streaming countrywide
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 1 o'clock. Welcome to 7:02 Afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja. Happy Monday to you. It's a brand new month, which means we all get another chance to try it all again, even though December is around the corner. This is technically the last working month of the year, if you think about it. It really, really is. So let's get it together. And I'm telling you, because I'm telling myself about getting it together. Coming up on the show today, it is the thing we do on the first Monday of every month, which is the book club with Mandy Wiener. And today we're talking Die by the Sword by Tony Park. We did post it. And if you'd like to recommend a book, 7:02 Afternoons at 702.co.za. Movies and what to stream. Adelaide Moyeng joins us, founder of Movies and Stuff SA. Our travel feature, we're talking skiing in Poland. Iga Motilska will join us for that, founder of eagerjourneys.com. The second hour of the show, our parenting and parents feature, we are chatting about helping your teen ace their exams by studying smarter and not necessarily harder. Lynn Beachy, who is Chief Executive Officer of Chase Education Solutions, is going to join us for that conversation. Then we wrap up with all of your science-related questions for the Naked Scientist, Dr. Chris Smith. Get in touch with us, 011 8830702. SMS us 31702, tweet at Relebogile M at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 Afternoons and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Book club time. How are you, Mendy? I'm seeing all the messages calling you Mendy on the
At least
WhatsApp
it's got
line.
an M. Normally it's Wendy. Last week it was Cindy. Somebody called me Cindy.
Oh, I like that one. I'm going to change your name in my phone.
Clement already calls me Wendy Mina. You know, Wendy Nola and I get each other's emails, huh?
Regularly.
Regularly.
So
And then
you get the consumer stuff and
Yes.
she gets the
Yeah, then we
current
have to
affairs
send each
stuff.
other the emails. And then we actually did a social media campaign trying to educate people that she is Wendy Nola and I am Mandy Wiener. And we are different people.
Please, can I run the next one? I think I will help it stick. The next one. You guys should have dressed up as each other for Halloween.
Two white women dressed the same.
Yes. Blazer jeans and a button-up shirt.
I'm a one case.
Listen, we have to be. Don't say 1K. You must be specific. I'm a 1.8. What are you?
I'm a 1.8.
You're also a 1.8. Yeah.
Yes.
So we got to be clear because the 1.8s and the 1.7s, we're not the same. We are very much not the same. Time for the book club. We have Die by the Sword by Tony Park. For those of you who don't know the book club, because it's still quite new, it's in its infancy, we like to prioritize local fiction authors and books, and we've already had an exciting time. We announced the book prize so that you can read along with us. By us, I mean Mandy Wiener for today.
And every other month.
And then,
Have you read a book club book yet?
what do you mean? I
Any
read
of the books
2
I
months ago.
recommended.
Pashida's my witness. I read 2 months ago. Okay, so send your recommendations through, or if you are an author or a publisher, 702 Afternoons at 702.co.za. Oh, Mendy, I haven't seen you since the deal. So officially, again, congratulations. You did the launch, you did the thing with Clement Manyatela. That conversation is available on primemediaplus.com, correct?
Correct. Yes, it is.
Okay, so if you guys want to check out the deal, that's real life stuff, Kiri non-fiction. And she happened to also sit down with citizen number one, President Cyril Ramaphosa. You stalked him for how long to get that interview?
I stalked him for a year.
A year. And you would think that, but you're Mandy Wiener, you should have been able to just get an interview like that. Why was it so hard?
It doesn't work like that in the real world.
Why?
Because he's busy, but also he doesn't give media interviews.
Because we know why.
Yeah, and it was quite a clear time frame that I was looking at. So it was a retrospective interview looking at the GNU negotiations. So it wasn't even, I had to fight my every fiber of my being not to ask him about current affairs.
Yes. How different would the book have been if you didn't get that interview?
No, it was necessary. It really tells the full story of the GNU negotiations.
And closes it
We're not
nicely.
here to talk about me.
Yes, but the deal, go and get it at your latest bookstore. All right, Die by the Sword. Why?
So I like Tony Park. I read a lot. I read more now than I used to. I used to only read nonfiction. I was very serious. But I'm trying to read more fiction. And Tony Park is one of my favorite local authors because he weaves policing, so the criminal justice. There's lots of fast-paced action. But he also always concentrates on animal preservation and awareness. So his last book that I read was about pangolins. This one is about turtles, and it's about it's got a marine biologist as one of the main characters. So I love that. And this one's also a bit different. So this one's called Die by the Sword, and it tells two stories in parallel. So 3 bodies are found scattered across South Africa. One is on the shores of the Indian Ocean. One is in a farm invasion in KZN. And then he tells the second story in parallel, which is around 1880 and the Anglo-Zulu War. So it's the story of Isandlwana. Central to this is the lost sword of the great Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte. So these 2 stories are told in parallel. From the blood-soaked battlefields of the colonial era in Zululand to the modern-day political struggles over land and poaching in South Africa and the war in the Middle East. You track these 2 stories. So it's fast-paced. It's got great local characters, and that's why I picked it this week.
And I have to say, I have the utmost respect for writers of any kind that are able to get their minds into deciding when you write parallel stories, when you introduce what?
Yes,
like when and how do you connect the dots, if they do connect?
Yeah, and if you look at historical fiction like that, to be able to weave the 2 narratives together and when they come together finally, I think it's a great skill. So, and it keeps you, I love the idea of 2 stories being told in parallel like this, because there is a lot of jumping back and forward between the eras, and it's kind of like reading 2 books at once, but it's one great book.
Yes, indeed. Well, the man of the moment is with us, Tony Park, author of Die by the Sword. Welcome to the book club with Relebogile Mabotja and Mandy Wiener. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and thank you so much for having me on the program. I'm really, really thrilled. And I must say, I was staying up too late last night reading the deal. Mandy is keeping me awake late at night. Because it's gripping, right? It's like reading fiction.
But it's real life.
But real life, so I'm really enjoying that. But thank you for having me on the program.
Please help me understand, while we're on the subject of parallel stories simultaneously, what is happening in your brain for you to be able to master that? Because I would imagine that there are individuals who have superpowers that are able to do such a thing and do it well.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I did it once before in a book called Ghosts of the Past, which is set in Namibia back in the days of the uprising against the German colonial rulers in the present. And I really enjoyed it because, like, I think as a reader, they say as a writer, you should write what you like and write what you know. Well, I'm interested in history, and I am sort of interested in military history, but when it comes to writing a novel, I didn't know if I really wanted to write like a purely historical novel, which does involve lots of research, but also, as Mandy mentioned in the intro, I'm quite passionate about current affairs and current events and poaching. So I think it's really like, for me, I guess it was almost as if like I was enjoying reading something historical, which I was interested in, but I was also able to relate it or try and relate it back to current affairs as well too, because one of the things I find living in South Africa, and I'm from Australia originally, that fascinates me is that history is so much a part of day-to-day current affairs and events, and the two are like inexorably intertwined. And so it's like you can tell a story today, and part of you is sort of maybe thinking about how we got here, why this is happening today, why this particular issue is happening, or maybe it's a crime, or maybe it's something to do with politics. I think in two ways, in some ways, the two are kind of intrinsically linked anyway, and I just kind of write what I'm thinking about at the time.
It's so interesting, Tony, that I've heard quite a few people lately speaking about the Prince Imperial, Louis Napoleon, who he was the heir to the French throne, and he was killed at San Luana, and it's his sword that he got from his uncle Napoleon Bonaparte that is central to this book. There seems to be like a renaissance of Prince Imperial Louis Napoleon. What made you bring him into this book?
Yeah, well, look, I've been wanting to write something set in the Anglo-Zulu War for some time, but it has kind of been done to death. There's been so much written in fiction and non-fiction about it, and I remembered reading about the Prince Imperial Louis Napoleon when I was very young. I was like a nerdy kid. I was into sort of toy soldiers and wargaming and stuff like that. And I read a book, a mention about him, and I thought, I must look into that. And as I looked into it, I found that there is this fascination for it. I mean, even around the Dundee area and around the battlefields around Isandlwana and Rorke's Drift, there's a monument there where the Prince Imperial was killed just after the battle. And each year there's like pilgrimages of people from France who still come along to pay tribute as well too. So it does have quite a fascination for people, and it's an amazing story how the heir to the Bonaparte throne, Napoleon Bonaparte's great nephew, ended up living in exile in England and ended up really forcing himself an attachment to Lord Chelmsford during the Anglo-Zulu War. His mum didn't want him to go. The British Prime Minister didn't want him to go at the time, but his mum was friends with Queen Victoria, and that's how Louis Napoleon was able to get an attachment to the British Army, which is bizarre when you think about it. And yeah, there's lots of reports, contemporary reports from that period, that he was carrying his great uncle's sword, or one of his great uncle's many famous swords, and he was involved in a skirmish with some Zulu warriors. He was killed, his sword was taken, subsequently returned to the British, and when it was returned, it just turned out to be an ordinary French cavalry sword. And I thought, that's weird. That could be the premise for a novel, because what if he really did have this famous sword owned by Napoleon Bonaparte, and maybe it got lost or something happened to it in South Africa?
Tony, you mentioned, of course, that you're Australian. If anyone's listening to you, they can tell that you're Australian from your accent. But you've been in South Africa for a good while. You divide your time between South Africa and Australia. But you set your novels largely in South Africa, and there's always a theme of nature conservation. This one of the main characters is a marine biologist, and you look at turtles. Your last book was about pangolins. As an Australian coming into South Africa, why is it important for you to use this as the backdrop?
I think it reflects a passion that we've had. My wife and I have been coming for 30 years. We're actually living here full time. We're applying for permanent residency here. But I think, like a lot of foreigners, we came to South Africa, to Southern Africa, originally like on a safari holiday. So that kind of wildlife is the hook that gets you here. And what happens is no sooner have you seen your first rhino or other amazing animal, then you start to learn that, hey, somebody's trying to kill this thing for nefarious reasons. And you realize how fragile the environment is and how endangered so much of our wildlife and plant species and many other species are. And I think it's reflected in my writing a growing interest, a growing passion for conservation. And while I don't want to use my books as a soapbox, I think, number one, it's a fascinating source of material for thrillers and for novels. But I really hope that I can, maybe help spread the word. You mentioned pangolins in the book that you'd read, The Protector. I consider a lot of my readership around the world to be quite wildlife savvy, I think, and interested in wildlife like me. And after The Protector came out, I had several people post on Facebook, I didn't even know what a pangolin was, but now I'm going to go and find out. And that's like really cool. That's really good to get that sort of feedback and know that maybe in some small way we can make a difference to our writing through fiction and raising issues and awareness.
I'm just so curious about the theme of power in the story and how power plays its role in, the stories of the different bodies that are found. From your perspective, how does what you have gone through in this journey of writing this book given you a different perspective of power, especially with what we're seeing in the world today?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. I think you look at history and you look at how things change and how dynamics change, and of course the balance of power changes through as well too. To sort of take a slightly different tangent, I like books with a strong female character, although I'm a guy writing. And so what I also like to explore is the changing role of women in society and in things like law enforcement and science and conservation as well too. And I think it's important to sort of, it's not even breaking down stereotypes, it's making fiction more realistic and more reflective of today's society. Who is in charge, why are they in charge, and how power is used for good. And one thing I do like to point out in my books is that, you can look at wildlife and the whole issue we have with the illegal trade in endangered species as a powerless situation, as in it's all terrible, everything's going out backwards, species are disappearing day by day. The reality is that, particularly in South Africa, is that there are so many people at the grassroots level, at the conservationist level, at the law enforcement level, at the academic level, at the research level, the ranger volunteer level, doing so much to conserve wildlife, particularly in this country, and doing a really great job, but they're often overlooked because we so often focus on the negative side of the power equation. And so I like to point out the good things that are being done. And with the turtles in this book, so the ongoing sea turtle monitoring program that happens on the coast of KwaZulu-Natal has been going since 1963. It's the second longest running turtle conservation project in the world. And in that time, volunteers, community members, people who've been sort of disenfranchised in the past but are now taking a greater role in conservation have seen a turnaround in that turtle population and seen it increase basically over my lifetime in the last 60 years. And that's a species that's sort of been brought back from the brink of extinction. And those little wins, that kind of power needs to be celebrated.
That's fascinating. It's so interesting. And on that theme, Tony, you speak about, firstly, strong women. So Detective Sani van Rensburg is one of the main characters, a police officer who's investigating one of the murders. And you speak about the little wins and the good things being done. So often police officers, law enforcement are portrayed as incompetent, as keystone cops. And I find it so interesting that in this book you really celebrate the capabilities of not only Sani but also her colleague and her partner, where you really show that the cops are capable of good work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I was at the Franschhoek Festival earlier this year, and I watched a great session with Dion Meyer and with the author of Hunting with the Hawks. And when you listen to the real life stories of what goes on in law enforcement in South Africa, I think it's also, take it back to what I was saying before about conservation. It's sort of easy, natural to focus on the negatives because sometimes that's the most conflict and the hardest news. But day by day, the successes that law enforcement people have in this country are amazing, and also the incredible danger in which they face as well too. It's like truth is definitely stranger than fiction. If you look at the kind of hair-raising, dangerous, scary situations that people are put in on a day-by-day basis. And on the environmental side of things, I did a book with General Johan Justia a couple of years ago called Rhino War, which is about when he was brought in by Sandparks out of retirement to head up anti-poaching in the Kruger Park. And you look at rhino numbers, say back in 2012, when there was 3 rhinos being killed a day, and I've covered rhinos in this book as well, 1,000 a year. We focus so much on the stats, on the losses. They didn't actually tell the story, and the true story was the problem was actually much bigger. But for every one of those poaching gangs that we're getting through on any given night in catching a rhino, there were maybe 10 or more other gangs that were being stopped, deterred, arrested, sent back out of the Kruger Park. And so it's this kind of strange situation where, as much as we'd sort of hate to admit it, the problems can be actually worse. But what that means is the cops and the prosecutors in particular and the rangers are actually doing so much more than what the bare numbers reflect. And I do like to get that across. I mean, it's a difficult one to get across. But yeah, there's so many positives out there, and I think if I was a police person or a prosecutor, you could be so easily brought down by the continual sort of negatives that you hear, where 99% of you are doing a great job.
I can imagine somebody's listening thinking, but Relebogile, you just, you and Mandy said this is a fiction book, yet there is so much that is based on real historical events and figures. So how do you find that balance, and what is that divide between what's real and what's not? At what point do you decide, okay, up until this, like, does the fantasy or the fiction come in as far as the research ended?
Yeah, I think, well, in one respect, if you're writing what this is like, partially crime, partially historical fiction novel, you don't have to make up too much to make it sensational and amazing. The true story is often, more thrilling, more gripping, more scary than real life. I think, I try to think of, I used to work as a journalist many years ago, and I like to kind of present the facts and let the reader make their own choices, their own deductions and stuff like that. So I don't think you want to go over the top. But at the same time, I think even just by reporting what's going on here in this country and in this continent, you have more than enough scope for fiction. And I don't want to keep talking about an old book, but in Rhino War, and Sandparks often didn't report a lot of this stuff because they don't want to kind of dwell on this, but you had rangers going to 4 contacts, like 4 gunfights in a day, the same group of rangers and their tracker dogs, 4 times in a single day. If I put that in a novel, no one would believe it. They'd think I was exaggerating.
Dion Mayer actually said that to me once, that if he had to take the plot of one of my books and put it in his books, nobody would believe him. Because truth is stranger than fiction.
Exactly, yeah. And there's a lot of good news here. I've also touched on rhinos in this book, and the fact that the majority of rhinos in South Africa are actually in private hands, not in national parks. They're on game farms and small reserves. And the job that those private rhino owners is also sometimes overlooked, just in the way that the job of rangers is overlooked, and that they're carrying a lot of the load, and often expending their personal fortunes just to do that, to pay for anti-poaching and to keep those rhino numbers up and to keep those rhinos safe. So I kind of wanted to highlight that a little bit in this book as well.
I think in closing, I wanted to ask you about your army experience, but it looks like we've run out of time, because I'm pretty sure 32 years in the military influences how you write and what you sort of get fascinated with. I can imagine you're quite a disciplined person, but what would you like the readers to really take away from this book?
I think a feeling of hope. I think looking at things like sea turtles and rhinos and even the history, where we've come from and where we're going, and particularly in South Africa at the moment. I think it's a really exciting country to live in at the moment with what's been going on in politics and things. And I think take away from it that even when things look really bleak and when things look really bad for the environment and endangered species, there are so many good people out there doing so much good work. And I am a sucker for a happy ending, and that's why I'm living here.
Tony Pog, well said, and I'm so glad that you shared the part about hope, because if anything, we could all do with a little bit of hope with the world we're living in today. The book is called Die by the Sword, and the author is Tony Park. Go out and get your copy. Mandy, how long did it take you to read this book? Because I know you usually do an overnighter situation.
No, it's a bit of a biggie. It is a bit thick, but so I've read it over 2 weekends and finished it over 2 weeks. I've been very busy. Very busy. But it's
do your kids feel the pressure to read super fast like you do?
No, they hate reading. It's like my biggest agony in life. They don't like to read, and I try and read to them. They have all these beautiful books. You can only do so much as a parent. But it's the kind of book that just absorbs you and pulls you in and pulls you back because of the dual narrative as well, that you're fascinated.
All right, that is the name of the book. We're back together next month on the book club. Send that email with your book club recommendations. Local fiction is what is preferred. It's 1:30. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. Good afternoon. The city of Johannesburg says it views the court ruling which orders it to speed up the verification and registration of informal traders as a win for the rule of law. Today, the Gauteng High Court directed the city to prioritize allocating stalls to verified informal traders within the next 2 weeks. The Socio-Economic Rights Institute of South Africa took the city to court after it removed unauthorized informal traders from their long-standing spots. The daughter of former President Jacob Zuma will stand trial from next week for her alleged involvement in the 2021 July unrest. Duduzile Zuma-Sambodla is charged with incitement to commit terrorism and incitement to commit public violence. The charges are linked to the unrest which led to widespread looting and left public infrastructure damaged in KZN and parts of Gauteng. And acting Ekurhuleni Mayor Jongizizwe Dlabati has labelled crime in Reiche Park uncontrollable. This reaction follows the killings of 6 people in that area over the weekend. He has told residents that the local police station will be receiving more resources to bolster crime prevention. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 2 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, some good news in the Roodepoort area. That accident scene on the N1 southbound near 14th Avenue has been cleared and traffic should be back to normal shortly. However, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is in the Eldorado Park area, N12 westbound up between the Golden Highway and Klipspruit Valley. Traffic lights still not working in Edenville at Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeek. Traffic lights also out of order in Sunning Hill at Rivonia Road and Witkoppen. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Are you going to spend the rest of your life in hiding?
Whether they finish me, I don't think I'm worried. I refused to let corruption reign. My children will stand on my grave and say, Daddy tried.
Mr. T, a long-time anti-corruption crusader at the Department of Home Affairs. There have been attempts on his life. Has seen the rot up close, and he says the system is broken.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
The Market Theatre invites you to 2 outstanding plays. Step into Afropocalypse, the Standard Bank Gold Ovation Award winner at the National Arts Festival, where the whole family can visit a post-apocalyptic Africa and meet storytellers who share fables of greed, mortality, religion, and unconditional love. Then enter Barbershop Chronicles, the international hit play that celebrates connection and brotherhood in 6 barbershops in Africa and London. Visit markettheatre.co.za to buy your tickets.
I'm Samela Kelboy, an actress and mom to 3 lovely kids. I worry about how sugar can make them sick. Drinking sugary drinks could lead to diabetes, heart disease, and obesity as they get older. Diabetes is one of the top causes of death in South Africa. I'm joining the fight to demand government puts our health ahead of greedy industry profits. Government must act now. Protect public health. Increase the health tax on sugary drinks, tobacco, and alcohol. Sign the petition on healer.org. That's HEALA.org.
Are you looking for the best spectacle and sunglass deal? With Specsavers buy one, get one offer, you get great value for money. Get a free pair of branded single vision prescription sunglasses up to 3,300 Rand. When you purchase a comprehensive eye examination and spectacle frames with lenses on your first pair. The best part? Choose from top brands like Police, Hugo, Under Armour, Tommy Hilfiger, Red Bull Spect, and more. Affordable eye care? Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
702 was in conversation with Vodacom Business on 702 Drive with John Perlman, discussing how strong cybersecurity empowers South African enterprises to grow fearlessly.
South African businesses are facing a perfect storm of threats. Ransomware being a major concern, as we've accustomed to know, especially during a time where people are moving in this digital age and they're upgrading, and with their cloud migrations as well. And supply chain attacks are on the rise as well. So if they can't target you, they'll target the third-party vendors that you are working with. And with the increase of AI, we use AI for good, but the cyber criminals are also using it for bad as well.
Vodacom Business. Together, let's build the extraordinary. Visit vodacombusiness.co.za.
702 Movies.
25 minutes to 2 o'clock, time for movies and what to stream. Adelaide Moeng is in studio with us today.
Hey.
Founder of Movies and Stuff SA, find on the socials. Hey, happy Monday, girl.
Yes, really happy to be here. I've been planning and trying to come, but today is the day. I thought it's a new month. Let me try and make it in the studio. Really happy to be here.
All right, let's jump straight into the first one. And what I'm liking about these features as we build up to December. Guys, every single time we have this feature, take your notes app on your phone or write the things down so that you are prepared. But I'm also going to challenge you to post what you recommend in our things.
Yes, actually, I'm planning on making sure that after the show, I actually do like a post-show wrap-up on my socials. And also for YouTube as well, guys. I'm working.
No, we must, because we need to plan what we're watching in December.
Of course.
And it's been a busy year. There's been so much to watch.
Yes.
So let's kick off with the first one, All's Fair.
Oh, All's Fair. I had the lovely privilege of actually going to the premiere last week. It was a star-studded event. I'm talking the most powerful ladies in the industry. The one that was like, I was really too nervous to walk up to was
Nolene.
Nolene.
I knew it.
I was so scared. I literally was stuttering and shaking. I was like, you know what? Let me not embarrass myself. I'll just, admire her from a distance. But there were so many lovely ladies there as well, in all kinds of industries, not just media. And like I said, the launch was amazing, very influential, very motivational. Got to watch the first episode of All's Fair, which is also directed by Ryan Murphy. And the cast of the show is by far the most stacked in terms of like an all-female cast for a special show like this. Just to give you a premise of what the show is about before I even get to the cast. Essentially, it's about two ladies who end up having an all-female law firm. They are divorce lawyers, essentially. But now they're going up against their nemesis years after everybody has built, and established their firms. And so now they're going head to head in a legal battle. So it's ladies versus ladies. All is fair because it's females going up against females. Now the cast, yes, is being led by Kim Kardashian, but you do not need to worry, because who they have alongside her is what makes the show really, really great.
Can I just say, though?
Yes.
She's slowly building her credibility.
Yes.
I mean, this is not her first acting credit. She's done American Horror Story.
True.
She voiced Dolores in Pets 2?
Yes.
So I think people must focus on the story.
And give her a break.
Yes, I think there's certain roles she might not nail, but I think the way, from what I've seen so far, she's playing the part.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And that's what I'm saying. When it comes to somebody like this who's never led a serious show, or it's serious but also really scandalous and really great, it's good to make sure that the supporting cast uplifts her to the point where you don't really see those small acting flaws. So, like I said, she's actually being joined on the show by Naomi Watts, Glenn Close, Niecy Nash, Tiana Taylor, and Sarah Paulson, which is really, really good. There's a lot that's going on, so you don't really focus on the fact that you're watching Kim Kardashian act. It's more so you actually forget. She actually does quite well. And the first episode was, the cliffhanger, guys. I really feel like just watch the first episode before you make any judgments. Don't go into it thinking, oh, it's Kim Kardashian and she's acting. Go into it thinking, I wonder what the story is going to tell me about these lawyers who are going to go head to head with each other. So far, so good. The reviews have been really great. Like I said, the first episode, the cliffhanger, I did not see it coming, and that says a lot. Coming from me, personally, I was shocked.
Okay, we'll check that one out.
I'm dropping tomorrow on Disney Plus.
Outlaws 2.
So, Outlaws 2 did so well last year. It won a SAFTA for Best Telenovela of 2004. And obviously, we as South Africans, I'd like to think we are probably the best in the world when it comes to producing world-class telenovelas. I know Spain is like a hard second. We can't go up against, telenovelas from there. But as you all know, season 2 of Outcast is coming out on the 17th of November this month. month. It is a Showmax original, which I also think is a really good point. It's also showing us that streaming platforms are investing in South African shows to a point where it actually pays off. We're getting fresh faces, we're getting new stories, and this is all on streaming. It hasn't even gone to, obviously, the main DSTV channel, but it will also be there. It will start on Mondays on Showmax Original, and it'll also air on Zanzi Magic Channel 161 at 8 p.m. on Saturdays. So if anyone is wondering what Outlaws is actually about, it's about two families that are going, they're not going up against each other. I feel like this is a common theme that I'm picking up and I didn't realize. But anyway, so it's two families who are actually in farming. One family is a cattle farming family, and the other ones are a cattle raiding family. And so obviously it's almost like a Romeo and Juliet, where the two youngest fall in love. It's obviously rival families as well, and so that never goes well. So essentially in season 2, the main lead, who is actually joining the show and has been replaced by another lady by the name of Noluthando Ngema, who's also in Itonga. She plays Mbali, if I'm not wrong. But essentially, she's going to give up on her entire family and community to go away with her love. And this is not going to end well. I just know.
It never does. Shout out Chetsa Pictures for that. Then we've got The Last Samurai Standing.
Right. So The Last Samurai Standing, guys, now and again, I really do want us to, broaden our horizons. Yes, this is a foreign show, but based off of what I've seen so far, it is quite amazing. I think people who love shows like Shogun will definitely enjoy The Last Samurai. So it's a historical drama, and it's dropping on the 13th of November on Netflix. And it's basically 292 samurais that are basically going to battle for 100 billion yen. And so obviously this is top-notch samurais, and this is obviously based in like the 1800s. So this is like very gory, very violent, but amazing. And obviously the Japanese are really good at weaving in action and storytelling really well. I could name drop, but I don't know if people really know Japanese actors like that. But so far so good in terms of reviews, really great feedback. So I really can't wait. I'm definitely going to watch that, even though it's a historical drama. Please, guys, try new things.
And where do we find that one?
It's going to be on Netflix.
All right. That will be coming through on Netflix. Mm-hmm. And then we've got Old Guy. I have huge respect for Christoph Waltz.
Right.
And I also see he's another common theme today.
I know. Okay, no, but
ma'am, do you
really
have a crush on him?
No, I don't. I don't. But I love his acting. I think he's just
brilliant,
one of those people who honestly can make the most simplistic stories seem so elaborate and cool. And in this particular film, he's actually very laid back. He's the goofy guy, which I thought, wait a minute, this is different. So essentially, Old Guy is Christopher Waltz, like you said, and he is actually an assassin who is on retirement age. It's knocking. It's time for him to leave. So they actually tell him to train his own replacement, which is obviously unheard of. Assassins don't do well with being told that they need to hang it up and leave. But in them doing this, they actually find out that the plan that they thought that they were going to pull through is actually backfiring on them. It also stars Lucy Liu. So it's literally Lucy Liu and Christopher Waltz together. And I think it's really cute. It's got a bit of fun. It's got a bit of nice action, good storytelling, jokes. Honestly, give it a try. It's on Showmax. It's out already. It came out this week, I believe. So it's already on the streaming site. I checked because I want to watch it tonight, actually.
Okay, and I mean, we haven't seen Lucy Liu in a minute.
Thank you.
For those who are not considered youthful, a minute means in a long time.
Clock it.
I'm learning. We're learning the lingo. When you say in a minute, it means forever. It's been a very long time. So looking forward to that one. Finally, is it Frankenstein or Frankenstein? I always said Frankenstein.
No, it is based off of the Frankenstein story.
It's Frankenstein.
Yes, it would be Frankenstein maybe if it's a different story altogether. But it is based off of the Halloween classic of Frankenstein, who is a monster that is built by this very egotistical scientist. But what makes this different is the director, Guillermo del Toro. I hope I said it right. And obviously we all know what projects this man has given us. He gave us Hellboy, the original Hellboy. Please, let's not talk about the aftermath, the other Hellboy that we cannot speak about. Oof. But anyway, this actually stars really, really great actors. My personal favorite, Oscar Isaac, who we know from Moon Knight and also Scenes from a Marriage. Maya Goth is also in this, and I'm sure most people would know her from Pearl, as well as Maxine, and also Jacob Aldery. I hope I'm saying it right. He's from Saltburn. I'm sure a lot of people would know him from that. So it's obviously the classic retold, but the visuals by far have been gotten it's gotten a lot of great reviews in terms of being the most visually stunning film this year that we've seen, and I believe it because of the director. He takes a lot of attention to detail when it comes to characterization, production design, the costuming. We're about to see creatures that we've never seen before, and so it's something I'm looking forward to. It's dropping on Friday the 7th. I cannot wait. Please go and watch the trailer. You will not be disappointed if you want to try something in the sci-fi realm as well. He does his job so well. Like I know for a fact it's going to be good. That I'm banking.
Okay, I definitely will give it an opportunity because I also love to watch classic stories being retold from a completely different perspective. So I'm looking forward to that one. Where do we find you on the socials?
Yes, guys, on the socials, it's Movies and Stuff SA on Instagram, Facebook, and soon to come YouTube. Because I'm getting a bit more interviews as well, and I really would like to start posting the full-length interviews for you guys to see as well. So please, please, please make sure you follow me. And yeah, I'm just Adelaide Moeng at Nje.
And we will find you there. Thank you so much for the recommendations.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6. Spending money with a black entrepreneur sufficient to grow that person, A, as an entrepreneur, but secondly, to grow their business?
Procurement is a market, all right? That is a market which the policy seeks to incentivize participation. That's how, black people are going to start their own businesses, operate their own businesses, and in that way contribute to the economy, create jobs. We know case studies where that is being done well.
Commissioner of the BBBEE Commission, Sidiso Matona.
John Perlman. 3 to 6 on 702.
This November, join the hashtag Glass Recycling Challenge and help collect 280 tons of glass across Johannesburg, Pretoria and Cape Town in glass recycling banks. Catch 702 in conversation with the Glass Recycling Company this Thursday. Discover how recycling glass reduces waste, creates jobs and builds a circular economy. Don't miss 702 in conversation with the Glass Recycling Company this Thursday on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
Unlock exciting bonus prizes when you top up your Betway account with a Betway Bucks voucher. From millions in cash and bonuses to extra bets and so much more, every top up is a chance to score big. Head over to leading retailers, including Pick n Pay, Checkers, Pep Stores, and Incredible Connection, and top up with Betway today. Terms and conditions apply. Betway is licensed and regulated by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No persons under the age of 18 are permitted to gamble. South African Responsible Gambling Program toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Winners know when to stop.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actors-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
702. Travel.
11 minutes to 2 o'clock, time for our travel feature. And today we're going skiing in Poland. We take your calls on 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Who better to go skiing in Poland with than Polish girl herself, Iga Mutelska, founder of IgaJourneys.com. Iga, happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Good afternoon. Yes, indeed. I'm so excited to tell you guys a little bit more about this lovely ski resort that's just 30 minutes away from where I was born in Poland. I'm obviously a little bit biased, but if you do some research yourself, you'll find that actually not that much.
I have to just ask before we get into this, what level of cold does one need to tolerate for you to actually enjoy the experience?
So I will say it does get really cold, especially the higher up you go in terms of altitude. But on the plus side, Relebogile, I want to say that, many of the ski lifts and gondolas these days are covered up. They're also heated.
Yes.
When you get to the top, you've got beautiful mountain sort of restaurants where you can have some mulled beer or warmed up beer, some warm, delicious Polish soup. So naturally, of course, between all of the skiing, there's always an opportunity to rest, relax, take in the views, warm up a little bit before you hit the slopes again. I will say that depending on where you go, on average, sometimes, you obviously need sub-zero temperatures for the snow. So you're looking at about minus temperatures. But throughout the year, various ski resorts also have snow machines, so to provide snow to ensure that it's always there as well. So even when it starts getting a little bit warmer, you're always guaranteed snow.
Okay, and I think either way, even if you are going to freeze, it's still a worthwhile experience.
Certainly, definitely. And so I will say that while the Alps offer, those vast high altitude terrains, a ski holiday, obviously in Switzerland or France or perhaps even Italy, really comes with a price tag that will make your eyes water. And so Poland is an affordable, off the beaten track alternative, I think, especially if you're a value conscious traveler. Particularly because of the lower overall cost. And so while Poland is a member of the European Union, it's retained its currency, the złotówka. And so your ski lift passes, your equipment rental, everything from food and accommodation and souvenirs on average cost about half as much. I ran the numbers earlier and you're looking at about, less than 60% of the cost that you would within the European Alps. But at the same time, you're still getting that world-class infrastructure. And so Poland ski resorts, specifically Szczyrk, which we'll speak about today, and Zakopane are really ideal for beginners and families who want to try ski lessons or snowboarding lessons for the first time. It's much more affordable in that sense. And the resorts have a very welcoming atmosphere that is less busy than those very big and popular alpine ski centers. And so visitors can also experience distinct Polish Highlander culture, that of the górale in Zakopane. And so I would say that for families or beginners or anyone really who's like pinching pennies but still wants to have a lovely winter ski holiday in Europe, Poland is the ultimate choice.
Okay, so in terms then, of some of the other amazing things I want to make sure I pronounce this properly. Zakopane.
Yes, Zakopane. Excellent. You're almost fluent in Polish. So Zakopane literally translates to buried. And the illusion is that it's buried in snow. And so it's the winter capital of Poland. It's located in the Tatra Mountains. It's about a 3-hour drive from Kraków or Katowice International Airport. And it's home to Kasprowy Wierzch. And so it really offers the only true high alpine skiing in Poland. And the ski slopes and runs here are FIS certified, which means that they really meet the rigorous sort of international standards that are required to host World Cups and Olympic Games. We have a lot of snow sports happening in the area. And so the slopes here are very challenging, or much more challenging, and therefore attract more advanced skiers and free riders. But I want you to imagine Zakopane, it's not a single large resort in the style that you would get in the Alps, but rather it's a town of 30,000 people, and it's surrounded by several ski centers. And so the town itself is located at 931 meters above sea level, and the highest lift goes up just shy of 2,000 meters. So here you've got 15 kilometers of ski runs and about 20 different ski lifts across the various areas. So the skiing is really divided across the mountain range. And obviously each area caters to a different skill level and offers its own spectacular spectacular views. And I would say that a highlight is certainly taking a horse-drawn carriage up to the Aquamarine Glacial Mountains, glacial lakes on the mountains. The most popular one is called Morskie Oka. And here, as I mentioned, you can eat hearty Polish food in a mountain shelter. And of course, you've got wonderful snow conditions throughout the year. So regardless of when you go, you'll experience some snow.
I have to say, Iga, the only reason I resorted to Zakopane and not Zakopane is because I figured it would be closer to Sepedi than to English.
Yes, exactly. Polish, I will say, is quite a challenging language to learn, but it's really lovely to see that everyone speaks English, or almost everyone speaks English, especially the younger generation. And of course, in these very popular touristy destinations, you'll see menus printed in a variety of different languages. So it's really easy to get around. And it's always, lovely to ask a local about how to pronounce some of these really difficult names, like Sturk, for example.
That is a tough one, and people will be shocked with how it's spelled. But tell us a bit more about what other cultural experiences are there, because I don't imagine all you do is ski 24 hours a day.
Certainly. So Zakopane is really famous for its wooden architecture. And so in winter, you've got this gorgeous ambience of the snow, the festive Christmas lights. And the street is the main hub for, the terminology is après ski, like after you go skiing. So it's a great place to go people watching, to experience that local Gurala Highlander culture. The most popular stretch of road is called Krupówki Street, and it's a pedestrian walkway. It's certainly like the heart of the town, and so it's lined with restaurants and bars. This is where you can hear Highlander music and, traditional singing in our traditional attire as well. The music is very energetic. You'll see people jumping up and down and dancing as well. And then the northern part of the street has a funicular to Gubałówka Hill. And so you can take it up there for beautiful sweeping panoramic views of the mountainscapes and the town below. And as you walk up and down Krupówki, there are really lovely souvenir shops as well. Some of the most popular ones would be wooden carvings or decorative items for your home. You've got woolen socks, of course, and hand-knitted sweaters or handmade leather slippers. Ceramics are also really popular, as is amber jewelry, which of course is sourced from the Baltic further up north. And beyond shopping, if you really want to warm up, I would highly suggest going to the thermal baths. It's really a highlight, and there are a number of different mineral baths in and around the region. And so you can relax either in an indoor or an outdoor hot spring, with views of the snowy mountains while sipping on something delicious as well. Just trying some delicious food as well.
Okay, and I mean, with all of that food, with Zakopane having been a sheep farming region with some of its smoked sheep cheese, which sounds very interesting, what are some of the other things one can enjoy when they go there?
Yes, so oscypki are my favorite, and the cheese squeaks as you bite into it. It's very often grilled, and then it's served with like warm cranberry sauce. My favorites are obviously pierogi, which is dumplings. You can get a variety of vegan and vegetarian, as well as meat-filled ones with cabbage and mushrooms, or minced meat, or cottage cheese with fried onions and mashed potatoes, various kinds of soups. Of course, hunter's stew, or bigos, is one of the most popular ones. It's game meat, or traditionally it was game meat, with a cabbage and mushroom onion kind of stew. These days you'll probably have some veal or beef, some sausage as well. Another one of my favorites, I would say, is potato pancakes with goulash. And I will also say that, if you want to warm up, grzaniec is definitely a go-to. It's a hot spice beer. Or one of my favorites is when they heat up the beer and they add some raspberry liqueur in it for some extra kick and, for a little bit of extra flavor. So yeah, lots of really fascinating, interesting things to try. It's obviously very hearty as well, to make sure you have enough energy for when you hit those slopes again.
Skiing in Poland sounds like a treat and a dream. And of course, there's other things you can do outside of the winter season. Iga, all I can say is dziękuję. Is that right?
Yes, beautiful. Dziękuję bardzo, Relebogile. So wonderful.
Dziękuję, Iga Mutilska, founder of IgaJourneys.com. Head over to her site for that. It's 2:00.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The city of Johannesburg says it views the court ruling which orders it to speed up the verification and registration of informal traders as a win for the rule of law. Today, the Gauteng High Court directed the city to prioritize allocating stalls to verified informal traders within the next 2 weeks. The Socio-Economic Rights Institute of South Africa took the city to court after it removed unauthorized informal traders from their long-standing trading spots. The court ruled that the city must accelerate the process of regulating the sector. Acting Joburg Mayor Eunice Mgcina says the court order reinforces the city's belief that the informal trading sector should operate within the bounds of law.
Yeah, we definitely see it as a victory as the city of Johannesburg, because it's basically what we wanted to do. That was our intention, to make sure that everyone is here illegally in the country, but also in Johannesburg legally. Also that you operate in Johannesburg with the relevant documentation that is permitted by the Economic Development Department.
Let's stay with court-related matters. The daughter of former President Jacob Zuma will stand trial from next week for her alleged involvement in the 2021 July unrest. Duduzile Zuma Sambudla is charged with incitement to commit terrorism and incitement to commit public violence. The charges are linked to the unrest that led to widespread looting and left public infrastructure in KZN and parts of Gauteng damaged. The state alleges that Zuma Sambudla used social media platforms to spur on the looting by sharing some of the incidents caught on video with the caption, "We see you." The NPA and KZN has confirmed that trial is set down for 2 weeks from the 10th to the 21st of November in the Durban High Court. To this now, the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry has heard that Hawks officers in the Tactical Operations Management section were diverted from an assignment in the Northwest to go to the Sandton home of Katiso KT Molefe. Warrant Officer Sabelo Nkosi has testified that he received an instruction to go to a Sandton address where people were allegedly posing as legitimate police officers. The commission, established to look into alleged corruption in the criminal justice system, is today focusing on Molefe's arrest and the suspected interference by the Hawks. Thabiso Koba has more.
On the 6th of December last year, Sabelo Nkosi says he was preparing to head to an important operation in the Northwest. However, before he could leave, he received a call from his superior, Brigadier Lesiba Mukwena, saying he's being diverted to an urgent assignment in Sandton to verify whether there was a legitimate police operation taking place there. Nkosi says this left him frustrated, as this was a, quote, insignificant verification.
To me, that area where the address is, we do have local police station there. And then if it was such an agency, because compared to me driving, because when I opened the GPS to that particular address, it was 60-something kilometers. I don't think that there is an area or a suburb where the police station that is more than 20 kilometers away.
Nkosi says when he got to Katiso KT Molefe's house, he found it was a legitimate police operation where the controversial businessman was being arrested in connection with the murder of Val engineer Armand Swart. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Acting Ekurhuleni Mayor Jongizizwe Dlabati has labelled crime in Reiche Park as uncontrollable. This reaction follows the killings of 6 people in that area at the weekend. He has told residents that the local police station will be receiving more resources to bolster crime prevention. He is visiting the families of the deceased today. While there has not been any arrest made, he says a team from the province is assisting with investigations. He has urged the public to come forward with any information that they may have to assist.
But we should say that prevention is better than cure. Something must be done in the area and across the city of Ekurhuleni to make sure that really our communities are safe and that there is little space for such incidents to transpire.
And the sole survivor of the Air India plane crash says he is the luckiest man alive. On the 12th of June, Flight 171 crashed into a building, killing 241 people on board right after taking off. Vishwakumar Ramesh was travelling with his younger brother, who was seated in a different row on the plane at the time. Months on now, Ramesh says he wants to share the impact of that day in an attempt to regain control of his life and to pressure Air India into addressing the catastrophic effect of the crash on him and his entire family. Gold is trading at $4,019.68 an ounce. The rand is at 17.31 to the dollar, 22.69 to the pound, 19.92 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $64.77 a barrel.
Eldorado Park, there's an accident scene. This is on the N12 westbound near Klipspruit Valley, causing about an hour delay all the way from the Golden Highway. Avoid that route at all costs. There's also slow-moving traffic. This is due to roadworks in the Calvin Alex area on the N3 in both directions between the Between Interchange and London Road.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with isolated showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 21 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The city of Joburg says it views the court ruling which orders it to speed up the verification of informal traders as a win for the rule of law.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja
Live, streaming countrywide
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 2 o'clock, the second and final hour of 7:02 afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja, on this Monday, the 3rd of November. In this hour, we're going to be jumping into our parenting and parents feature, talking about helping your teen ace their exams by studying smarter and not harder. Parents, caregivers, teachers, please do share your feedback and stories. And if you are a teen that is listening in, also share with us. So maybe you're somebody who recalls quite vividly what helped you study smarter and not need to study harder. Lynn Beachy Head, Chief Executive Officer of Chase Education Solutions, will join us for that conversation. Then we wrap up with the Naked Scientist. Dr. Chris Smith will come through to answer all of your science-related questions. So get them through early. Get in touch with us. 011 883 0702. SMS us 31702. Tweet at Relebogile M. At Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
Parenting and Parents
on 702.
Parenting and Parents time on 702 afternoons. And we are talking about your teenagers, how we can help them ace their exams by studying smarter and not necessarily harder. I'm sure many of you do recall some of the things that worked for you, but now some of you are parents. I want to hear from all of you, parents, caregivers, teachers, young people. What helped? What do you find didn't help? 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. We are joined now by Chief Executive Officer of Chase Education Solutions, Lynn Beachy Head. Lynn, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Lynn, what is one of the first things that you would like to share, particularly with parents who don't live the classroom life with students, about what it really takes to prepare for exams in this day and age? Because we know times have truly, truly changed.
Sure. So, having been a parent myself, but also a teacher, I have lived through all of this. But what we have chosen to do is really try and make studying easier by focusing on the areas where learners are actually struggling. So, and sometimes learners don't know what they don't know. So it can be really, really daunting. They can go through wade through loads of PDFs of past exam papers, but not necessarily know where to focus. And that's why we launched Study Clicks, which is what we'll talk about today. But what we recommend is being able to do short quizzes that that are topic based, and then identify exactly what you are struggling with as a student. And then when you find what you're struggling with, revise, go over that section, get with the textbook, get with your peers, chat to them about it, understand it better, but then use past papers to practice those particular questions. So that is really what we would focus on. There's a concept of response to intervention. It's called RTI, and it's using the data, using information from your assessments to identify where the need is most, and then focus in and target on that need. And that is usually what helps you to sort of ramp up your performance in exams and to get the growth that you want to get. So yeah, that would be my recommendation. Find out what you're struggling with and then focus on addressing that in particular.
What would you share with parents around whose role it is to do that hard teaching, in the sense that, you're touching on identifying problem areas? There may be teachers who feel like, parents, you need to also step in and play your part. There's only so many hours in a day. And once a child is struggling and it's been communicated to you, you should be able to step in. Whereas parents might come from the perspective to say, what are we paying all these fees for? Can you maybe just enlighten us on that balance between who's responsible for what?
Sure, that's quite a tough question, and I think it's tough for parents to take ownership of the actual learning that needs to take place, of the curriculum content. That's really students need to step up themselves and take ownership of it, and not put that burden necessarily on their parents. Parents can act as a support, making sure that they have time, that they're organized, that they're not overly stressed. But I don't think from a curriculum perspective, it can be a parent's role to do that. But making the tools available to do what is necessary, I think, is very much a parent's role. So and I think everything is a partnership. Everything is about collaboration. Students also need to be empowered, and parents can help their children to actually have the gumption, or the not be afraid to go to their teachers and say, I actually don't know what I'm getting wrong here. Please help me. And teachers are more than willing to actually, spend the time and say, okay, that's fine. And I can redirect you to a place. So in Study Clicks, we've actually got that partnership thing going on, where teachers can actually assign quizzes, and instantaneously the learners can do those quizzes and get the feedback as to what they're struggling with. And then they can hive off independently and go and practice those sections, their videos, their notes on those particular topics. And then they can do past question papers or past questions from past question papers that are specifically focused on that particular topic or subtopic of the curriculum, and then they can get all the practice. And what we've done in Study Clicks as well is we've got teachers to create enriched memos. And I think that's really the kicker. It's no good knowing that something is right or wrong if you don't know how to get there. And a tool like Study Clicks can actually help you to work through what you got wrong. So I think there's very much a partnership between the teachers, empowering the students to identify where their challenges are, but then students being able to go away independently to practice and get the resources that they need. And a lot of that will be contained in a tool like StudyClicks with the videos and notes, but the parents creating an environment where it is possible to do that practice and encouraging them to log on and spend time doing the practice. So that would be my recommendation.
In terms of what we know now, that you've got, a large percentage of, is it grade 4 learners who struggle to read for meaning. What do you observe with teenagers that are struggling? Do you think that some of the challenges they are facing are foundation issues? Because like you said, that it's about identifying certain problem areas and then sort of honing in on that. But what if the real problem areas that you are still struggling with very basic understanding of the concepts of the subject matter?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of variables at play here, and if a learner is struggling with reading, for example, and they are already in matric, there are solutions that can assist with that, and that's sort of a story for another day. That
yes.
We are working on literacy focus to sort of push learners into the literacy space and making sure that they are proficient in the language of learning and teaching, but in terms of basic concepts, those are sometimes things that you obviously need learners to understand those concepts. And that's often different learners learn in different ways. And often it's useful to have, the concepts written down in flashcards. So in StudyClicks, for example, we have those flashcards by topic that students can whip through and practice their definitions and their concepts. So that is great. But sometimes you need a bit more reinforcement, and there are great free resources on the internet that have been curated into StudyClicks that have got full explanations of concepts that need to be learned. And sometimes people need a visual explanation, or they need to hear it being talked through and it repeated maybe more than once. So it's quite useful as a student if you're struggling with some concepts in physics, for example, to be able to review some videos over and over again, and then do some flashcards, and then go and say, okay, I think I've mastered this now. Let me go and set myself a mock exam, and I will try all the questions that are on that particular topic, work my way through the model answers, and see how I go. So I think that that's a useful cycle to aim for. But having a very quick dipstick of understanding where you are at is incredibly powerful.
And I think just to touch on what you were saying about the parents offering support, I think parents still need to have an idea if their child is struggling or not struggling, like have an idea of where they are at, not like during exam time. Now you realize your child is struggling. Some of these challenges are not going to be solved in one or two tutor sessions. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we continue your questions and comments on 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
Part of the 702 family.
Hi, 702 family. My name is David Khasao. I'm from Naturena, Soweto. I've been listening to 702 since I was still young. At the age of 20, even today, I'm still listening to 702. So I'm gaining a lot in terms of information from 702. Thank you so much.
Welcome to our 702 family. Let's walk the talk.
Enjoy the thrill of the Soccer Punches Challenge Weekend Edition, an all-new platform from Hollywood Bets. You stand a chance to win a share of the 5 million rand jackpot when you bet 5 rand or more on selected EPL matches over the weekend and correctly predict 10 out of 10 winning margins. Or chase the share of the 50,000 rand leaderboard prize. Entry is free. Let this soccer season bring sizzling success. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is licensed by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
James, congrats on the babies.
Yeah, thanks. It's a wild ride.
You're a new dad, 2 babies, 0 sleep, and 1 car that apparently couldn't cope.
Yeah, the hatchback was my baby, but it just didn't have enough space for my 2 new babies.
And are you happy with the price when you sold to We Buy Cars?
Very. We've even got some extra cash to splurge on one of those fancy prams that you basically need a license for.
Good luck, James. We Buy Cars. Geared for family, geared for you.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Professor Adrian Saville, the person you turn to when you want to understand what really happened in that summit between President Xi Jinping and President Donald Trump.
There's a tremendous amount at stake in terms of the implications for supply chains, for various industrial clusters, and at least one of the parties at the table has the ability to play the long game. The other doesn't. So there's a fair chunk at risk here, in particular for the Trump administration.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show, Stephen Curtis, is brought to you by ABSA CIB, advancing Red Rocket's ambitions with Discovery Green as the off-taker to power Africa's future through affordable, renewable energy.
Parenting and Parents
on 702.
21 minutes after 2 o'clock, and we continue with our Parenting and Parents feature as we talk about helping teenagers to really ace their exams by studying smarter and not harder. We're chatting to Lynn Beachy, Head Chief Executive Officer of Chase Education Solutions, and we take your calls with your comments and your questions and WhatsApps on 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Lynn, let's get into the methodology of what it is that Chase is doing with this program to really just offer that additional support.
Okay, 100%. So we have sort of scoped around the world to find solutions that seem to be working effectively rather than reinventing the wheel. And we came across Study Clicks, which is used in Ireland, and it's been used there for about 10 years. And there are about 90% of the teachers use it to support their teaching and learning. And it's got a 5-star rating there. So we thought this was something really useful to bring to South Africa for students to use. And what it is teachers can use it to for part of their teaching and learning, but students can then also work with Study Clicks independently. And what is unique about it is that this is specifically at matric level at this stage, but there's potential to move it into the lower grades. But instead of wading through all those past papers, it takes each paper, each subject by topic and subtopic and breaks it down to that granular level. So if you are studying life sciences and you're struggling with endocrinology, you can see all the past questions over all the past papers on that particular topic. And then we've worked with schools like Westerford High School, Rondebosch, various other schools with teachers there who mark exams and who have created enriched marking schemes. So for every single question, you can see an actual answer and you can click on it and expand the answer and you can see exactly what it should have been. And you as a student can then go all the way through all those past questions, focusing specifically on what you're struggling with. And you can set yourself for quizzes. So you can just take a quiz immediately and you will get the instant feedback as to which ones you got right and which ones you got wrong. And for a teacher using the tool, they can see, oh, okay, my students are learning about the nervous system, but they're all struggling with this concept in the ear. I'm going to reteach that bit and make it and spend some time on that. So it gives you that really targeted focus on the areas, especially when you're at a crunch time like this towards the end of exams and you might not have enough time. It's useful to focus on the stuff that you know you haven't already aced. But just to say as well, a tool like this is available all year long. So where as soon as instead of trying to cram everything at the end just before the exams, is to use a tool like this once you finished a module, and to give yourself some quizzes and flashcards and set some papers for yourself to just check and see how you did, and so that the retention of that knowledge becomes more reinforced. And so when it comes to year end and you're actually setting your exams, it's easier to access what you have remembered. It's not like learning it all from scratch again. So it's a tool that you can use all through the year. But at this stage, it's a bit late for that, but it's never too late to practice. So that would be the recommendation. So this tool is available for teachers to use completely for free, and they can just access it. They set up their own teacher account, and they can access it for free and share everything that the teacher shares can be shared with the students for free. But right now, at the 11th hour, there is a student account that you can do for free. But if you have the plus upgrade, that is used for independent study. And what's really cool is that Primedia, which 702 is part of, Primedia has made this tool available free of charge to all listeners. So if a student registers at studyclicks.co.za, and you can register for all the subjects you still have to write, whether it's physical science or life sciences or whatever it is, you register for those, and there's nothing to pay. You can upgrade to a plus account using the code Primedia Cares. And that will enable you to have access to all the past question papers sorted by topic, all the model memos and model answers. It will give you all the flashcards and all of the quizzes that you can do. Plus, there's a community space where you can ask questions of other people who are also writing the same subjects. And there are also videos and notes that have been suggested by the community and curated by these expert teachers. So you have a really useful wealth of information at your fingertips. And at the same time, it saves you time for not having to trawl through sort of PDFs of past question papers. It allows you to sort of home in on those very specific topics that you feel you need to focus on.
And just for the assurance of all the parents and the listeners, this is already been signed off by the Department of Education.
That's correct. In fact, we partnered with the National Department of Basic Education. They liked the tool so much when they saw what was being done in Ireland. They gave us permission to use the past papers in this way. And we've got many provinces that are actually using it through their districts and so on. So this is very much vetted and supported. But at the same time, we've got schools. We've got over, I think we've got over 30,000 people have signed up to use StudyClicks, and we've got teachers and students across over 4,000 high schools, which is about half the number of high schools that are offering matric in South Africa. So we've got a lot of usage and a lot of great feedback. In fact, we launched this last year in April Fool's Day, I might add, last year, and we had one of the schools that used StudyClicks Plus, and their students gave us permission to look at their results, and we've shown that it is successful. So the students that use StudyClicks most grew the most in terms of their growth from mock matric, or from their June results to finals, and from mock matric to finals. And the students that use the StudyClicks more, we sort of got three categories: low usage, medium usage, and high usage. The high usage students outperformed the low usage students in terms of their final exam results across the board by more than 11%. So it's definitely a tool that works, that just gives you that ability to target your area of focus and then to practice. So we would really strongly urge any listeners out there who are still writing matric to take advantage of this free code and get that sort of uptick that you're looking for.
Study Clicks is spelled with an X, not a CKS, with an X, and you can head over to the website studyclicks.co.za. There's the section for teachers and the section for students. It isn't too late, and you can also get a head start for those that are in grade 11. The teachers can also use the platform. Please repeat that code again.
It is Prime Media Cares, and that's Prime Media, all one word, PRIMEDIA Cares. And you key that in and it will automatically upgrade your account to a Plus account.
Thank you so much for chatting to us today. It's 2:30. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. Good afternoon. The city of Joburg says it views the court ruling, which orders it to speed up the verification and registration of informal traders, as a win for the rule of law. Today, the Gauteng High Court directed the city to prioritise allocating stalls to verified informal traders within the next 2 weeks. The Socio-Economic Rights Institute of South Africa took the city to court after it removed unauthorised informal traders from their long-standing spots. Acting Ekurhuleni Mayor Jongisizwe Dlabati has labelled crime in Reiche Park uncontrollable. This reaction follows the killing of 6 people in that area at the weekend. He has told residents that the local police station will be receiving more resources to bolster crime prevention. And Spain's Attorney General is standing trial over allegations of leaking confidential information. Alvaro Garcia Ortiz allegedly leaked legal information of Alberto Gonzalez Amador, a businessman who was under investigation for alleged tax fraud. The Supreme Court began investigating Ortiz following a complaint by Gonzalez, who demanded 4 years in jail for the attorney. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 3, or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this hour in Lenasia, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on the Golden Highway between Fun Valley and the R554 Nirvana Drive. We still have those roadworks causing delays. This is in the Calvin Alex area. On the N3 in both directions, this is between London Road and the Batu interchange. Also driving through Bryanston, there's slow-moving traffic on the N1 southbound between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. We still have those faulty traffic lights in Alex at London Road and the N3. Traffic lights also not working in Sunning Hill at Rivonia Road and Witkoppen. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
How have people reacted to this suggestion by the U.S. president threatening Nigeria with military action if the country does not protect Christians?
For me, I'm not sure we actually need to counter that narrative, the genocide narrative and the President Trump narrative. I think what our government actually needs to do is to prove President Trump wrong. Step up and protect your citizens. That's all.
Wale Fotade, commissioning editor at The Conversation Africa.
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
To walk the talk
Year
is to
in,
turn
year
words
out,
into...
we're fixing tires faster than a Formula One pit crew. My team is on top of things like tire whisperers. If an unforeseen accident were to happen...
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
Looking for real ways to live greener? Then don't miss Green Tip of the Week. Your weekly dose of sustainable inspiration from eco-entrepreneurs to climate champions, we sit down with the people making real change. Catch Green Tip of the Week every Tuesday on Afternoon Drive with John Pullman from 3 to 6 p.m. only on 702. Proudly brought to you by Volvo. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
Year in, year out, we're fixing tires faster than a Formula One pit crew. My team is on top of things like tire whisperers. If an unforeseen accident were to happen in my workshop, at least I've got My Way business insurance to keep the wheels turning.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Coming up
on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
702 Drive is coming up from 3 to 6 p.m. with John Pullman. John, how are you doing?
Doing well, thanks. Good afternoon to you. Hope you're well and hope the listeners are having a fine Monday.
We are all having a wonderful Monday. What's coming up on your show today?
So we are going to try and find out more about all the leaders of different political parties. The GNU retreat, it's been called. They're not retreating. They're going on a retreat. We had to point that out and make that very, very clear. But yeah, what's the meeting about? What's the meeting delivering? More on that a little bit later in the show. It continues to shock but not necessarily surprise what comes out of the Madlanga Commission. I've always drawn a distinction between the two that I think is important. We'll get an update on that after 5 because they're still very much busy at the moment. Court reaching some sort of decision in regard to informal traders in Johannesburg, but we want to dig a little bit deeper and understand, is this a decision that applies to a specific group of traders, or does it change the lie of the land as far as that aspect of economic life in central Joburg is concerned? We'll look into that in a little bit more depth later on in the show as well. Tragedy out in Reicha Park, 6 people killed in a drive-by shooting. We'll get the latest from that Ekurhuleni community, and we're going to ask people for their favorite childhood memories. I'm looking forward to hearing what those are. I have one that I'm going to talk about. No, not now. Obviously, because I want people to tune in.
Of course, they must tune in. I'll share mine.
Please.
The older I get, the more my favorite childhood memories involve my grandmother.
Okay.
It just almost seems like, you're young and there's this much elderly person. Life was just so simple. There was no in between. It was just very, very simple. So a lot of my favorite childhood memories are in my grandmother's kitchen and just being excited like the food is coming. And it was good every time.
On a winter's day when the rest of the house is cold, except the stove and the grandmother radiating warmth.
And she had that coal stove in the kitchen. So that those are some of my favorite childhood memories, but I look forward to tuning in and hearing all of your childhood memories. Get them ready for John Pullman. 702 Drive, coming up from 3 to 6 p.m.
702.
The Naked Scientist.
Time for The Naked Scientist with Dr. Chris Smith. All of your science-related questions on 011-883-0702 and the WhatsApp line 072-702-1702. Happy Monday. Doctor, how are you?
Yeah, happy Monday. I'm good. Yeah, very good. How about yourself?
I am doing well, and I'm very excited to get into some interesting science-related questions from all of our listeners. I'm going to come to the very first one. And I know we touched on it briefly. It was a week or so ago, which says a question for the Naked Scientist. Switching between daylight savings time and permanent standard time, are there any health effects? And is this not a mere manipulation of our circadian clocks? From Vanessa.
Hi, Vanessa. The answer is yes. There are well-defined health impacts of doing this. What do we mean by daylight saving? Well, because at high latitudes, in other words, if you're not on the equator, because the planet is tipped over 23.5 degrees off axis, at certain times of the year, the Earth is pointing more towards the sun, and at other times of the year, that hemisphere is going to be pointing further away from the sun because of the way the Earth orbits. And that means that at some times of the year, you get days that start very early and end very late. You get long days. And in the UK, for example, it will get light at 5 o'clock in the morning. It will still be light at 10, 11 o'clock at night, certainly in north of Scotland. But in the winter, The flip side is true. And it won't get light until much later in the day, and it will get dark very early in the day. Now, this has a lot of health consequences. Number one, people are getting up in the dark, going to work in the dark. They're in the office all day when it's actually sunshiny, potentially, and then they're coming home in the dark. So people don't see enough sunshine. That's bad for vitamin D. So there's immediately a health impact from low vitamin D levels, and this is not helped terribly much by changing the clocks, but it is a bit. Number two, we're much more prone to seasonal affective disorders and the winter blues, as it's called, when the clocks change. Because it's not just the lack of daylight that does this, it is the change that also upsets people. Because when we change the clocks, we're getting up an hour earlier in the morning and we're going to bed an hour later at night because our body thinks it's an hour later than the clock says it is because we've put the clock back. So we rob ourselves of a bit of sleep. So people tend to find for a week or so after we change the clocks, people have reported more sleep disturbance. They are more prone to mood disturbances and feeling a bit down. And if you're not sleeping very well, you find it hard to concentrate. You might find life more stressful, and you're also more accident prone. So there are more accidents around the time that we change the clocks around. So some people have advocated for let's just stay on daylight saving all the time. Other people have said, well, when that was the case, it was misery for some geographies for some of the year because it was distorting the daytime and people just had endless night. So you can't please everyone all the time. So we basically either have to live on the equator where you have nice, regular, predictable sun up, sundown, and you have fewer of these circadian distortions, or you accept that when you live at the extremes of latitude and you're going to have clock changes, they are going to translate into short-lived, but nevertheless, for some people, quite troubling mood-related changes.
Absolutely fascinating. I still don't get why we all just don't centralize. Would you say it's more of a political issue at this stage?
Well, in the I think it was the 60s, they did actually try this in the United Kingdom, where they stayed on a special time that in fact Winston Churchill set up during World War II, where in order to maximise working productive hours in the day, for people to actually make munitions, but to be as productive as possible during the war, when they absolutely had to, they shifted time on 2 hours and locked it there. And people decided to repeat this experiment more recently. And in fact, after 3 years of it, there were reputedly cheers in the House of Commons in Parliament when it was voted to reverse the change because people were finding it so hard to deal with. Because, as I say, in some places you'd find the day would start very, very early and end very, very late, but then at other times of the year you'd end up with just darkness all the time, and people found it was even more distorting and difficult than if we moved the clock around. So people tend to say, well, there's no perfect system. The happy medium is that we change the clock a bit and it tries to make as many people as happy as it possibly can.
All right. The next question that is coming through says, what actually causes tinnitus?
Right. Well, tinnitus is a ringing in the ears. And there are two types of tinnitus, but let's dwell on the most common type, which affects about 1 in 5 people. It's very common. And this is where people hear sounds, and they can be a range of different sounds. They can be rasping noises, ringing noises, whistling noises, but they're not coming from any outside external source. They're being generated by your own hearing system. So in other words, they're a type of auditory hallucination. Some people say that tinnitus is like the hearing equivalent of phantom limb pain that you experience when you have a limb part or body part amputated and you can still feel that body part and it's painful. Tinnitus is this intrusive, annoying sound that you can't zone out from. It tends to associate with hearing loss. And so one model or one proposal for why we have tinnitus is that in the inner ear, which is the cochlea, the structure that turns sound waves into brain waves, there are regions of the cochlea that respond best to certain sound frequencies. And if certain parts of the cochlea are therefore damaged, the brain is not receiving input from those frequencies. So what does the brain do? Well, it assumes that it must be not listening hard enough. So a bit like if you had a dodgy radio station that you couldn't hear very well, you would turn up the volume. And as well as hearing the voices a bit better, you'd also get the interference. When the brain turns up the volume of what's coming from the inner ear, it unfortunately amplifies the noise in the system as well. And we think the tinnitus is the brain's attempts to hear what's missing, and that's the intrusive noises. What can we do about it? Difficult, but the worst thing to do is to focus on it, dwell on it, and concentrate on it, because like all these things, the more you attend to something, the more you tune into it, and the more intrusive and annoying it will become. So the best thing to do is to try to relax, because stress makes all things worse. Try to zone out from the noise and distract yourself, and sometimes playing sounds, background noise, even white noise, whooshing noises, the sounds of the sea, for example, this can help to sort of mask the tinnitus sounds, helping you to take your attention away from them, and that tends to make things better. And also, as one person from one of the hard of hearing charities pointed out to me, that in fact a lot of the time, if you get hearing aids fitted, because hearing loss is associated with tinnitus, it can make tinnitus a lot better, because it helps you to hear everything better, and therefore the brain tunes down the artificial amplification that's causing the tinnitus in the first place. And so people's tinnitus tends to improve with treatment of hearing loss. So that may also be an avenue some people could explore.
Thank you so much for that question. The next one, this is very interesting. Doctor, what would happen if gravity suddenly stopped working for 10 minutes every day? And how would society adapt? That's from Nyerezi Umpile.
Oh, well, I hope that doesn't happen, because life would be very chaotic indeed. Because if you think about it, the reason we go round the sun is because the sun, being about 1 million times bigger than the Earth, and the Earth are attracting each other with a gravitational handshake. There is a force being exerted gravitationally between the sun and the Earth, which is holding us in orbit. And the Earth is pulled in a circle because the Earth is trying to move along in a straight line, but it's feeling a force towards the sun. So if you pull on something all the time that's going in a straight line, it will follow a curved course. In other words, the Earth orbits the sun. Now, if gravity suddenly turned off, it wouldn't just be here on Earth it turned off, because this is a fundamental law of physics. Therefore, it would turn off everywhere in the universe. This would mean the sun would let us go. And for 10 minutes of every day, we'd be flying off into space in a straight line instead of going around the sun. Now, who knows what the consequence of that could be, because we may collide with another planet, we may go whizzing off eventually into space, we'd disappear because the sun wouldn't get us back. We'd eventually get farther and farther and farther from the sun, and we'd have no sun because we'd be off in the middle of nowhere, and everything would be happening like that. So there would probably be chaos. There would be collisions between planets, there would be water everywhere, we'd be floating up all over the place, and we'd go whizzing off in a straight line out into space. So I hope that doesn't happen. Thankfully, it's very unlikely that it will.
All right. Thank you so much for that very interesting question there. This one says, Tia from Parkmore, afternoon both. I get that moths come from cocooned worms. And yes, we've all lived through the silkworm saga with our kids. I see a lot of moths around my house, but where are all the worms?
Well, moths are relatives of butterflies. They're Lepidoptera, and they come from caterpillars. So they're not worms. Worms live in the soil. They are caterpillars. So the moth will go and find a plant that its caterpillars will like to eat, or in the case of clothes moths, they will find some wool and hair that they can lay their eggs in. The eggs incubate. They turn into larvae, which are the caterpillars, which will eat their way to a sufficiently big size that once they have a big enough body mass, they then trigger the next stage of their development, which is they pupate, and they spin a cocoon, which is that silken thing that they embed themselves in, and in there they transform themselves through that process, metamorphosis, into either, in the case of a butterfly, is a butterfly, but in the case of moths, a moth. The moth then comes out and it flies around finding other moths to mate with, and then the whole process begins again. And many people don't realise moths, and they're particularly nocturnally active, are really important pollinators, because a lot of them go and visit flowers and things, and they spread pollen between flowers. So moths aren't just there to eat our clothes. Some species of moths do make holes in your clothes. Many, many moths live harmlessly in the environment and do a wonderful job pollinating plants and other flowers.
Wow. Okay, that's good to know, because yes, that is very good to know, because sometimes it does feel like, what is the point of this insect? But they do play a very important role. One question here says, what's the scientific explanation for when driving and sort of inconvenience another vehicle, a certain part of your body itches? This is such an interesting question. I'm not even... So what's the scientific explanation for when driving and sort of inconvenience another vehicle? Okay, I'm going to ask the person who sent this message to please try and send it again and just make sure you're wording correctly so that we can make sure we're answering your question properly. The next one
I hope
says...
they're not driving and texting, because that's that could be
While
why that's slightly
scratching.
dodgy grammatically, couldn't it?
While scratching the itch as well. Okay, this
Yeah,
one,
that's true.
Sandile says, I understand that 3I Atlas is the third known interstellar object to enter our solar system. Could you explain what unique information this object can provide compared to objects that originate in our solar system, like comets or asteroids? Also, what are the key scientific questions you're hoping to answer by studying? Is it 3I or L Atlas?
It's an I, yeah.
Okay.
It's number 3, because this is the third, as this person quite rightly says, 3I, I for interstellar, third interstellar object that we've detected, knowingly detected. The first one was back in about 10 years ago, and then we've had a couple since. Atlas is the third. When they say interstellar, this really is interstellar. This is an object which has originated from outside our solar system. In other words, the sun, our clutch of planets, and then the cloud of material around the solar system, the Kuiper belt, and then out beyond that, the Oort cloud. So all the material in our solar system, this is not part of it. How do we know that? Because when researchers spotted this, they spotted it using a very sensitive telescope, which is looking for changes in the night sky for a number of reasons, but partly because we don't want things to hit us. And you can track the trajectory because you find the object and you see where it's moving. And if you see how and where it's moving and how fast, you can work out where it must have come from, what path it's described. And you can then see whether it's in an orbital path, in other words, it's going around the sun, as all material in our solar system does, or if it's following a warped path that can't have come from our solar system, that tells you it's an interstellar object. So this one is coming in, it's come in from deep space. It will whiz through the solar system. It'll be quite some way away. You'd need a good way of spotting this. You can't see this naked eye, probably. And then it will leave the solar system again pretty soon, and it will be gone forever. And it's billions of years old. It's probably been in deep space for billions of years, and it's literally whizzing through our system and going again. We don't know where it's come from, interstellar space somewhere. We don't know why it's there. Perhaps another system had some kind of gravitational resonance that threw it out, or one thing slammed into something else in another system somewhere, and that led to it being ejected. But it ended up in the space between solar systems, and then ultimately some gravity distorted its path, our system, and pulled it across our system. But we didn't capture it. We've actually just deflected it gravitationally, so it's come through our system and will then leave again. These are interesting objects to study because obviously they're a time capsule from much earlier in the history of the universe, and they're coming to us, so we don't have to go to them. We can learn a lot about things just by looking at them, because the light that comes from objects contains effectively the chemical ingredients that are locked up inside something, because as Robert Bunsen, the scientist who invented the Bunsen burner over 100 years ago, also discovered, there's a science called spectroscopy, which is that different chemicals absorb and reflect light of different colours. So if you see light of certain colours either missing or coming from an object, you can work out what it's made of. So by looking at this thing, we can look what's in it, and that tells us something about the chemistry and the evolution of materials, not just in our system, when looking at things around here, but from deep in space. And so it gives us an insight into really what else is out there. It's not an alien spaceship, don't worry. Some people have speculated, is this aliens coming through? And there was one famous example of this called Oumuamua, which was another long cigar-shaped object that came in about 2017. And everyone said, look at the shape of that, and look at the path. It's come from outside our system. That's an alien spacecraft. It wasn't. It was another object a bit like this, but they're still really interesting to study because they can give us a glimpse into what life lies out there beyond our system where we currently can't reach.
All right, we've got a voice note on 072 702 1702.
Good afternoon, Dr. Chris and Lebo. I've got one question. If you were to board a plane and you're heading to London and there's a fly on the plane, and you fly in the plane, and then they fly inside the plane. You don't allow it to land on any object throughout the trip. Would the fly die eventually, or it would reach London?
What an...
This is Ben in Kempton Park.
Thank you, Ben. What a fascinating question.
And the answer is we take this risk very, very seriously. So I thought Ben was going to ask about gravity and that kind of thing, because obviously the fly is not going to slam into the back of the aircraft, because the air inside the aircraft, which is moving inside the aircraft with the fly in it, is moving at the same rate as the aircraft. Therefore, the fly moves like you do, and it's just flying around as though it were flying around at home. So it's no different for the fly. It's just flying around. But insects are important disease vectors, especially things like mosquitoes. And so what increasingly is becoming apparent is that with this enormous transfer of people and stuff around the world by air, there's about 1.5 million people airborne around this planet right now. If we just paused time and counted up how many people are on aircraft right now, over 1 million. And with that amount of traffic and flux, with people taking themselves, but also moving animals, because there are insects and other bugs that go with those people, either in the airspace or in their luggage, there's a real risk that we're going to move various diseases and invasive species. And we indeed are moving invasive species around the world. And mosquitoes are a major threat because of their ability to take disease with them, but also to spread disease when they get to their new location, if they set up a new home there. And so a number of companies and operators where this risk is deemed high will, when they go down the plane on either takeoff or landing, they will spray insecticides through the plane in order to make sure we mitigate that risk. You can never completely remove a risk, but you can, by spraying the insecticide, hopefully kill off any of Ben's flies that might enjoy the journey but might bring diseases with them. So we try to reduce that risk by killing them.
Is it just me, or do you also have a sneaky suspicion he's been thinking about this for years?
Oh, maybe. I mean, someone asked me the other day a brilliant question. They said that they'd noticed that there was a spider had made a web on the wheel of their car. And then they went somewhere, and when they got there, they found the spider web was still on the wheel with the spider in it. And they were going pretty fast. And they said, the question was, do spiders get giddy? Can you make a spider dizzy? And the answer is that they probably can't, because they don't have a vestibular system like we do, which is the root of our giddiness. But I just thought that was a brilliant question, inspired by nature. So do spiders get dizzy? Brilliant.
I'm sorry, that is so funny. But this is why we have you with us, Dr. Chris Smith. And for all of your science-related questions that you don't get in time for the show, 7:02 afternoons at 702.co.za. We do keep them. There's just currently a backlog. Much appreciated, Doctor. See you next week.
All right, see you soon, Lebo. Bye-bye.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
It was on Saturday, I think, when you issued a statement condemning false social media claims targeting teachers. Who is the source of this TikTok video that is alleging that teachers are required to pay? Is it 350 Rand for verification or to deposit money into unspecified accounts?
We just want to reiterate that all communication around the department will emanate from official sources, and we encourage the public to continue to be vigilant.
Terence Kala, Acting Director for Communications, as well as a researcher for the Department of Basic Education.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Join Tembinko Simtembu from the hit series Shaga Ilembe and be the strong man who makes better health a legacy. Shop Seller Men's Health Range, Strong Man, Stress and Anxiety, Clear Skin, Joint and Gout, and Daily Immune, available in a tea, mixture and capsules. Shop today at Clicks, Dis-Chem, ShopRite, Checkers, Boxer, Pick n Pay or P&P, and Spar. Don't compromise. Sela iyasebenza.
To celebrate 25 years of helping you live the premier life,
FNB Premier is giving you a chance to win a 14-day European tour experience and other cool monthly prizes. Open any FNB Premier account from September to 31 December 2025. Switch your salary, swipe or tap a minimum of 2,000 Rand per month for 3 months straight. Spend and win with FNB Premier. FNB, help changes everything. TCs and competition rules apply. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
Thank you so much for joining us on 702 Afternoons. We're back tomorrow. It's 3 o'clock.
This is EWN.
SERI welcomes a High Court ruling on informal traders, and GNU partners insist the coalition is still solid. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The Socio-Economic Rights Institute of South Africa has welcomed the court order directing the City of Johannesburg to accelerate the verification of